to debate whether or not a Greek organization has the right to suspend members for expressing their political beliefs on social media.
All right, well, I think it's kind of a big debate that's going around right now, especially just in the political climate of our country and everything.
Right.
So what are your thoughts? Do you think that any Greek organization has the right to kind of suspend their members or put them on probation for expressing political views?
Right. So, I mean, Greek organizations are very complex. There's a lot of, behind the door stuff that, not the public eye knows. So, I mean, basically, most Greek organizations have some sort of a standards board to a committee of people that, act as sort of a judicial board for members in the organization. And they take into consideration, modern events like, currently the Black Lives Matter movement has been sweeping the nation, and frankly, it's a huge deal. And the fact that her sorority doesn't have social media as a disciplinary action in their bylaws is kind of tough in a modern situation with a lot of the heat coming from social media and news coming from social media, and that's where most people get their news from. So I think it's time to start making changes and implementing social media discipline.
I'm going to go ahead and disagree with that. I don't think that Greek organizations as a whole, I mean, yes, I understand that they are a private organization, they have their own laws and everything, and I think it's kind of tricky in the sense that it's like, how far is too far? I think specifically, unless someone is directly affiliating with the sorority or fraternity or anything where, whether they're wearing Greek letters or they're in the house or, doing something that's directly affiliated with the organization, I think then the organization has a right to kind of monitor what's being said, and it's their image. They can say, hey, we don't want this coming up in our sorority. But I think if someone is just simply a member of the sorority or fraternity, and they're not posting anything that's directly affiliated with it, and they're just posting their own thoughts, I don't think they should have to face retribution for that.
Well, so in her previous post on her page, she is affiliating herself with the sorority, and that is still on her page while she was posting these anti-BLM posts. So is that affiliating yourself if you're not posting directly about your sorority, or even while you have photos of yourself in front of your sorority house and other members of the sorority?
I think it's fine for her to affiliate with stuff in like I did see her Instagram. She does have bid day stuff on there, and she does have, all this stuff, and I think that's fine, but I think it's more of in the sense of as long as she's not directly affiliating and captioning it with these with these racist things or anything like that. It's more of if she posted a picture of her wearing her sorority letters and then had a caption that was hate speech, then I think that's a problem. But if she's just posting a picture of herself and there's no direct affiliation with the sorority or anything like that, then I think she shouldn't face retribution for it.
Right. So back to that. So she actually went to Fox News, and then she brought Kappa Alpha Theta into the national spotlight for the second time this semester. Earlier this semester, they were in national on Fox News for coronavirus, being an outbreak for that. So I think it's more about bad publicity being brought onto the house than anything. And the sorority would like to obviously not be viewed in the negative light like most Greek organizations are. I assume they don't want the stigma that most Greek houses face when they come into the news. So I think it's a bigger deal than people are realizing, and I would not be surprised in the slightest if more Greek organizations and other organizations around the country and start to implement anti-racism and other social media restrictions on employees and students.
In terms of if she should be suspended or not, I don't think that she should be suspended from the sorority. I think, it's tricky because it's kind of where do we draw the line of where organizations and private organizations maintain their image but then also suppress rights of people. And so do I think she should be suspended? No. Do I think that she has to face the consequences of what she's posted and how people might perceive her, especially within her sorority? Absolutely. And I think anybody who posts anything on social media has to deal with those consequences. But I don't think that a Greek organization has the right to tell somebody what their political standpoint should be in order for them to be considered part of the sisterhood or whatever you want to call it. I don't think that having that monitor is kind of unconstitutional, in my opinion. I mean, the most basic argument is that we have the First Amendment, which protects our freedom of speech. And I think that right now they're trying to suppress her freedom of speech.
Right. Well, the way you sign a contract to join a Greek organization, and by signing those contracts, again, I'm not sure what exactly their contract says, but I mean, you have to follow specific rules, and that just means that you have to abide by them, and if you don't abide by them, they have the right to prosecute you in the proper manner.
I agree with that, but she also said it wasn't in the bylaws, and I think if they are going to reprimand her for this kind of stuff, then they need to put a slap on the wrist to the other girls that say things on the other side if they're gonna do that. So I don't know, it's kind of a tricky subject for a lot of things, but I don't think she should be suspended at all.
Right. Well, I mean, it'll be very interesting to see whether or not more Greek organizations start to implement, disciplinary actions for social medias and whatnot. All right. Well, we're going to throw it back over to Jacob.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for joining us. As always, be sure to get on sided.co and put up your own arguments. For all of us here at Take a Side, I'm Jacob Polacheck, and we'll see you next week.